All right, so this video may not have the most specific topic. I am gonna ramble a little bit on this video today. I'm basically just chilling here. It's Monday morning. I have my cup of coffee. I just went for my morning walk. I did my meditation. I did my habits, right? And lately, I feel that I've been having a little bit of resistance on like doing certain things, like the things that I actually really care about the most, like the making videos and even like interacting with people. And there's all these things I want to do. I've been really desiring to do certain things, and I feel like there's this block that's almost like resistance. If you guys are familiar with any of like Stephen Pressfield's work, he talks about resistance and how we have like this. David Goggins talks about it being like a little governor in your head that kind of tells you like kind of what to do, but yourself has like certain desires. And that's like kind of like, let's say, working out. And you know how like right before a workout you get a little bit of like that, you get like those excuses to not do the workout, right? Like your mind makes up excuses for you to not do the thing that you said that you were going to do, right? That's the interesting thing about this Nofap journey, is that you don't have anything that's amazing to escape to. And what I mean by that is there's really nothing on this earth that is more dopamine, brain sensitizing, whatever you want to call it, that is more than our sexual urges and our sexual acts. And I think the ability to be able to watch whatever we want and to let our imagination just run wild is insane. I was watching a TEDx talk on porn addiction. I highly recommend people go watch it. I'm going to put a link in the description for it. It was a great video, and he talks about a statistic that genuinely scared the shit out of me. That description was about how 100 million people on one site, this was tracked, 100 million people visited every day for 1 year, and that's just one site. I believe the other statistic was saying that if you were to use this one site as well, and you wanted to watch one video and you wanted to not rewatch that video, it would take you about 115 days to be able to not watch that video the second time. So, or I'm sorry, 115 years. 115 years. I said days because sometimes I couldn't even believe it when it happened. But 115 years, if you watched it every day, you'd be able to watch 115 years worth of new videos before you had to watch that first video a second time. And that's just one site. That's one site. Just let that sink in for a second. It's like scary. This did 15 years ago even. This wasn't a thing. We're going into a whole new generation that no one on a social level has ever experienced before. We, as guys, especially the ones who aren't the Chads and like never had like the most amazing success with women based off of like talent since day one, and you've been watching some of the video content, I believe that there is going to be a huge social disconnect for that person. Even if they get into a huge nofap streak, there's still going to be those underlying traumatic experiences that you've gotten from watching it and for the reasons of watching it. And honestly, that's okay. Because the great thing about this is that this is starting to become more popular of a thing, and that if we did experience this, know that it's not just like 5 other people trying to quit. These are thousands upon possibly even millions of people that have recognized this thing as a problem and are committed to not only freeing themselves from it, but helping other people as well and helping their brothers quit the stuff as well. Now that to me is super powerful. I love the idea of getting everybody together to better themselves. That's what this has done. That's the gift that we've been given from this opportunity. We can easily decide to just sit around and mope and complain about the issues that are at hand, to complain about whatever, the way that women treat us, or the way that every time you go on any social media, you are instantly sold on like naked girls, like right away. Go on any social media platform, set up a timer, and just start scrolling through your explore page or scrolling through your news feed. And even if you are not looking for it in the slightest, whether it's an advertisement or whatever the case may be, something's going to come along your way where it's going to possibly trigger you. Now that's messed up, because we're not actually trying to do it. We're solely trying not to do it, and we're doing our best to not do it. But there it is. Because that's how the market is. That's how society is now. It's more normalized. It becomes more okay. The good news is I do think we're in a huge step in the right direction, guys. I really do think. Because there's more and more, like this. I remember when I got into this 4 years ago, it was something that really hasn't been discussed that much. It was really something that was more like a small portion of people did it. We're very quiet about it. And actually, there comes shame in Nofap, because people think that when you say, oh, I really want to stop watching this stuff, all of a sudden people think, well, how bad of a problem have you had that you needed to quit this? People could think that, and that's where there could be shame from that. But I believe that everybody has a problem. Everybody has a vice. And I've come to the conclusion that if you break free from the chains of watching these videos and you are on Nofap for like 150 days and you haven't watched adult content, and not only that, but you've been having less social media, maybe just focusing on social media more to just like talk to a few people or to spread your own brand or spread your own business. That's a good way to use social media. If you have been on your purpose, you've been working, you've been getting your finances together, you've been working out, and you've been trying to eat healthier, and you've been trying to sleep better, you're just trying to improve your life in general. You're putting effort. You're just putting effort for like the first time in your life. You're just putting effort into things, right? Because I don't know about you, but when I was in this stuff deep, I didn't even know it was a problem. I did it from age 12 to 19 without knowing that it was even a problem, that it was even bad for you. For those many years, my whole teenage existence was ruined from this one thing that I didn't even know was a problem because I got introduced to it when I was 12. It's like you're breaking free from heroin addiction. I don't think people really understand how much of an impact that it has on people. I believe that if you're regularly around me and I start to indulge in this stuff again, within a week, you're going to notice a huge difference in the way that I am. My whole demeanor changes. And it's not, could part of it be placebo? Maybe. But I'm a very aware person, and I've been doing it long enough to where I can see the clear differences in the way that I am without it and with. I believe many people out there can too. And I believe that a lot of the Nofap community is really, especially here on YouTube, is really into the red pill and trying to like get girls. And I don't think that's the answer either. Because the reason why I was brought back here to where I am now after doing, after I thought I was free. I thought I was free. I was 150 days in and I didn't feel urges for well over a month or two. I didn't even think about it. And not only that, but I was single. So I wasn't with any girls. I made it all the way to 150 days of retention. And I just didn't even crave it. I had no desire for it. I was waking up at 4 a.m. and I was working my ass off to try to accomplish my goals. And what winded up happening was, while I was trying to accomplish my goals of like running my own fitness business and such, and running my own group classes at a little studio, girls started just chasing me, man. It was weird. I wasn't used to it because my whole life I've always been in the friend zone. And, I've gone with a couple girls up until that point. Like, don't get me wrong. I wasn't a virgin. I did go with a few. I experienced PID. I talked about that in another video. But I never really experienced like anything long term or really anything that was like really good. And what winded up happening was, I remember just from that point on, I started just getting with more chicks. Like I didn't even have to think. I wasn't trying to pick up. I wasn't trying to talk a certain way. I wasn't thinking about getting laid. Not even a little bit. It didn't even cross my mind. It was completely free. And I believe that when you get to that state is the most important thing for a man to get to. Complete control over lust and desire. Complete control. I believe that is where we want to be in this journey. We're using this tool, Nofap, to accomplish that. Being in that place in your life. When you're in that place in your life, you don't have to worry about going to the mall or going to the beach to like pick up chicks. You'll never have to do that because you're just going to be living your life. You're going to be meeting people actively just through your lifestyle. You're going to be just talking to more people, and eventually you're going to meet somebody and you're not going to be a fucking weirdo about it, and you're going to just talk to them, and they're going to kind of like flirt with you a bit. And your natural human male instincts kind of just kick in, and you just start having like a nice conversation, and like maybe you ask for a number, or they might even ask you out if they're really into you. But what happens is you start to get with women that really are really interested in you. And this is a good feeling because these are the girls that aren't going to be asking you like a million questions about what you're doing in life, because I hate that. I think that makes you more insecure. You're not going to get a bunch of chicks that like shit test you and that are being nasty to you, and you won't have to settle for just BS from other people in general, not even just girls, but just people in general. You just don't even let that toxicity in your life anymore because you have so much self-respect for yourself. I think that's a really important place to be. And so, but as we go through this, and I start getting with more women and kind of building a rotation and going through that, I feel that in a lot of ways the addiction switched. It just like switched where I now crave the intimacy with a woman. And I think there's definitely a natural part of that, and I think that can be a good thing, I think that what it really makes me do is it really makes me think about where I'm heading in life and making sure that I'm doing the best that I can be for that attraction, and knowing that I can always be confident with women if I'm on what I got to do. That's not the only reason. I think a big reason is just for myself as well. But it's kind of like that idea of, a lot of people start working out for like girls. I remember I first started working out because I wanted to get more girls and I wanted to be more attractive. And I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start working out. But then after like a month, I realized how good this was for me. And I just kept doing it just for myself, just because I wanted to do it, right? So you may have like ulterior motives when you're first starting something, but when you start getting into it, you start to realize that you're just doing it for yourself, right? But this could potentially be the catalyst, which is why I think it is important to have a discussion around. This is the catalyst to being able to get to that point. So when you think about it in that case, and you start getting into this like new type of lifestyle, you start going through this like incredibly weird journey that nobody can really describe to you. Nobody can really help you. You can't ask your mom, you can't ask your dad, you can't really ask your brother or sister unless they're doing it as well. You may have a couple friends that might be interested in the topic or that might not mind hearing your experience with it. But overall, a lot of the support that you're going to get in Nofap is going to come from the internet, which means that you need to be on the internet in order to talk to your friends, essentially, is where it can kind of first start, because you become so consumed in thinking about I'm doing Nofap that it's hard to like, when you first start working out, for an example, you're really focused in on working out and eating healthy, and it starts to become difficult to have conversations with people that don't work out for a short period of time, because working out and eating healthy is such a huge priority for you that you have to be around other people. Your body starts to crave being around other people that share the same goals as you, and that's kind of what happens in Nofap. But then what we hope is that after 3 to 5 months of doing Nofap and being on your purpose, working hard and stuff, that eventually you don't need to do Nofap anymore because you've broken free. That's how I felt when I was 150 days in. I felt that I wasn't doing Nofap in 150 days. It wasn't exact. It's just like a ballpark, because I knew that I started it around a certain date and it was about 5 months later. So I didn't count. I wasn't counting the days, but it was around that ballpark. Just about the same thing for this video as well. Being 45 days in now, after, we'll talk about that in a sec, but 45 days in now, we're starting to kind of get to that flatline point, which I did want to discuss. But to finish off my thought from before, what I think starts to happen is just you don't need to really. So what happens is the Nofap is just such a big priority in your life that you almost want to talk about it to people, but it's really hard to do that besides with anybody on the internet. So sometimes there can be a short period of time where there's a feeling of disconnect. This happens with working out and weight loss too. So there's this short period of time where you disconnect from the people around you. This happens a lot with clients and stuff in fitness. So I believe it to be the same thing here. There's a disconnect for a short period of time because you're so focused in on doing Nofap and bettering yourself that you almost stand out and people think you're crazy, right? But what then starts to happen is as you get deeper into that Nofap, you start to kind of come down a little bit. You start to come down and you're connecting to people again. But I do think that there's this short period of time between days 15 and days 90. There's this period of time where you need to just be by yourself, and you just need to be alone, and you just need to you got to just do your own thing for a bit and be okay with that. You don't have to force it. If you're just naturally talking to people, then go ahead and do it, right? But what I'm saying is I think it's important for that short period of time to just focus in on what you got to do, and being okay with not trying to be buddy or super friendly with every single person that you cross, because you're just doing your thing. I just want to get to the gym and work out, right? I just want to get this journaling done. I just want to get this work done. I just want to get this done, because it stops bothering me, so it stops being in my head. And then these start to become habits. You don't think about it as much anymore, and you can start to come back down and start to reconnect with people again. That's what I think is a really important part to recognize in the journey. But to talk about 45 days in, and why I believe there's a flat line, right? So the flat line I really only more so know about from the internet. Really from what I've read. I don't think there's really a lot on flatline. I've seen a lot of different opinions about what it is. And I felt a lot of different experiences. And what I believe that there is just, like with anything, Nofap is peaks and valleys with the way that you feel. I think that first week or two, depending on who you are. I know for me, it's the first week. If I relapse and then I go 5 days into Nofap again, I feel so good. I feel amazing. It's so crazy. I feel so amazing. I feel so good about myself. I feel so on point. I feel so free. And then there's it starts to kind of come down a bit, and you're more neutral about it, and then it dips. And that's what I believe is the flat line. So what I've experienced over the past like few days or so, and I believe it happens within like the first month or two, like somewhere around there. You might even have like, you might peak a bit and then there's like a mini flat line. And then I think you come back up again around like whatever, days 15 to 30, you come back up again. And then you go just right down. And the reason I think that is because I've had this experience multiple times when I've been on streaks. And usually around this time, there's this feeling of like unmotivation. You don't really want to get things done. And what I believe that this is because your desires start to become larger. You start to think about doing things that you actually really, really want to do. And it can be scary. It's just uncomfortable. It's kind of like the idea of, okay, if you have like a toddler and they just started being able to walk and they start to become a child and they're like, 3 years old, 2 years old, whatever, they start walking. They start walking. They're going to start walking and then they're going to just reach some point where they like don't know where they are or they don't know where their mom is. And they're just going to start freaking crying. That's what happens. That's part of the learning how to walk process, is that you start walking and everything's cool and then you like reach a certain point, it's like a certain boundary, and you just start crying. That's how humans are. So what happens is you do a Nofap and you feel good that first week, then you start getting to week 2. Ooh, week 2, the demons start coming out, right? That's when the growth really starts to happen. That's when you start to really, you have to like kind of face your demons in a way, because now it's like, okay, you've done a week. It's, you can reward yourself now. And they're like, no, I'm not going to reward it. And then your brain kind of goes, like, first is like this is a good way to explain it. First is like this initial feeling of like, you deserve this. And then there's the other side of you that's like, no, I'm going to just not do that because, I want to keep going with this. Like, I want to keep doing it. And then that other mind goes from like, you should reward yourself to like, and they get like really mad. And they're like, no, you're going to fat. And you're like, no, I'm good. Like, hey, thoughts, like, I'm good. I don't need to do that. And they're like, no, it's not a choice. It's kind of like that. It's like you're being bullied by your own thought, right? And it's like, no, you're going to do it. Now you have to like kind of fight with it. Like, you kind of have to like battle with it, right? Like, you have to like, no, I'm not going to fucking do it. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you got to be a little bit nasty with it. You got to be like, no, I'm not going to fucking do it. At first I was nice. I was nice back. But if you're going to be a dick to me, I'm going to be a dick to you. So that's kind of how the attitude is, right? You have that attitude back with the demon on your shoulder, right? So the angel kind of puts its boxing gloves on and is like, all right, like, I'm ready to pop off. You know what I mean? It knows how to box. It's got hands, so it's gonna knock the devil out. It's gonna knock those negative thoughts out. So that's a funny way to look at it. But what I mean by that is you start to go through this flat line, and then what I believe is on the other side of that flat line is it starts to peak again, right? So I think that's where like the real growth is. And I think that it's important to kind of push your boundaries a little bit during those times where you're going to think about like getting this video done and recording this video, right? And not giving up and not quitting from the goals that you made when you first started doing Nofap, right? Because you probably started getting into working out and you felt really good, but now you got to go work out when you're tired. You got to go work out when you're sore. And now it's not as fun anymore. You're not as motivated anymore either. Maybe you're a little bit tired, but oh well, you got to go get it done because that's the behavior that you're creating for yourself. And that's where the struggle comes in. So 45 days in, I'm very happy about it. I'm very proud. I do feel a lot better. I feel a lot more calm in my social situations, just with like friends and training partners. I feel that's improved drastically. I think my ability to like work out past my comfort zone has also been improved a lot. I feel a lot more energy in my workouts. I feel better physically, having better sleep, less random erections. And overall, I'm very proud of the way that this is going. But I know that this is just the beginning. And, I'm excited to continue sharing the process. So we're about 45. I don't know the exact, to be honest. I don't know the exact. I'm not tracking it by the day. But we're around that 6-week mark. We're getting into that. I think we're going to approach week 7 very soon. and we're going to keep just doing our thing. Everything seems to be going good so far. I'm excited to continue working towards bigger goals and sharing those goals, hopefully more so with the channel. And hopefully these videos are helpful and that you find that you are inspired or motivated to continue on the journey. If you could, please like, comment, and subscribe, as it really helps the channel grow. If you know anybody that could value it, maybe share it with them. It would really mean a lot to me. But with that to say, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.